until all our daughters are safe, until all our children have families, until all our families have homes, until all our parents are cared for. We'll be here.
First and foremost, we want to thank you all for being here. This is a very, very serious thing for us. Within this group, we have the president of NAACP, we have religious leaders, we have community activists, we have family members who have been traumatized by their family being in jail. You know, it's such a sad thing as we look at what's happening in our city, particularly in our county, this amazing city that we live in, but we still are suffering as a result of how we are treating human beings. You know, we live in a country that if you treat a dog a certain way, you will go to jail. That's right. Not only will you go to jail, but you'll be fired from your job. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs too. I love dogs too. But how we treat animals is very different from how we treat human beings. Now, people will say, well, why are you fighting for? Why are you fighting for people who are in jail? If they're in jail, obviously they did something. Well, I can tell you that in the history of this country, there have been plenty of men and women who have spent over 10, 15, 20, 30 years in jail, some even on death row, and then evidence came out that they did not do what they said, what was said was done. So we recognize and we know that our system, the system that promotes justice or should promote justice, that isn't always the case. So today we have a collection of people of all religions, all races, all cultures who have decided that we can no longer be silent about what's happening right behind us. We can't be silent about it. So today we're gonna have a few words from some community leaders, and then we'll take questions from the media, okay? First we'll have our president of NAACP, Ms. Daniel Sindor.
So I think that Councilman Basheer Jones has expressed the feelings that many of us have, that it's taken too long for us to even get to this minimal point of action from leaders in our community. Our county leaders have watched as people have died in the jail. It's a holding facility. It's not somewhere that people are because they've already been convicted of something. Many of the people that are in the institution still are waiting a time to be adjudicated properly. And so we expect as taxpayers that people have humane conditions. We're not asking people to have luxury type of setting, but just what the humanity that they deserve as a human being. And if we're paying for this as taxpayers, we should expect that our dollars are being used appropriately.
Yes.
People being abused, being fed food with maggots, having trays that have mold are not the things that we're paying for. So we're calling on our leaders to take immediate action, not to wait, not to continue to study, not to come up with recommendations, but to do things today as a result of our voices and our collective action that say we need immediate change. We also need things that are going to be long-term and systemic as we look at bail reform and things that are going to help to reduce the number of people coming into the system to begin with. And we hope that everybody that's listening and watching as a leader takes action as a result of this, because this is not the end for us. This is the beginning of a greater presence of urgency on this matter. Not another person can die under our watch. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Councilman Basheer Jones for making a stand on this issue. We not only need bail bond reform in Cuyahoga County, but we need judicial reform as well. Our judicial makeup is not like that of the county itself. And the only way we're going to be able to get a fairness as it relates to our jails is to make sure that we have the right people in office. We're getting ready to look at individuals coming to sit in courtrooms to see the disparity that happens amongst the judges and how they treat individuals of different color and culture as well. This is necessary for us to begin to necessitate change in this community. It's time, it's a long time coming, because for years we have known that there are problems in the jail, but no one said anything. People are dying. And dying, how do you die from a jail overdose in jail? Something is wrong with this system. Something is wrong with our judges. There are people in there who have done nothing, waiting, who cannot afford to pay their bail, but who are just waiting for an opportunity to come before a judge and be released. We need to do something, and we need to do it now. And I thank Councilman Jones for making sure that we're here to take a stand.
What's your name and title, sir?
Bishop Eugene Ward, pastor of Greater Love Baptist Church and president of GPAC.
One more time on the name.
Bishop Eugene Ward, pastor of Greater Love Baptist Church and president of GPAC.
Ma'am, can we get your name and title, please?
Danielle Sidnor, president for the Cleveland branch of the NAACP.
How do you spell your last name?
SYDNOR.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Lauren Werber. I'm the rabbi at Temple B'nai Abraham. And I want to thank Councilman Jones for bringing us all together from so many backgrounds and faiths to address this serious issue. I'm here to bring a small voice of faith to this conversation, and I'm here, I think all of us, with heavy hearts. I think of the sentiment of Reverend King that we all know, that our character is judged by how we treat the least among us. And for those who are incarcerated who have very little voice, they truly are, for that moment, the least among us. And if we judge ourselves by that standard, there's an abysmal failure happening right now. We know that the Torah, the Bible, teaches us tzedek, tzedek tirdof, which means justice, justice shall you pursue. And we stand in front of the Justice Center of all places. The Jewish commentator centuries ago said that the reason that it says justice 2 times is that each justice means something different. Justice, justice shall you pursue. The first justice means we have to pursue just ends. We have to do what's right to create we have to create that just society. But the second justice means we have to use just means to create that just ends. And that's where we call upon our leadership to take a good hard look at their title of their building, the Justice Center, and to find the will and to find the heart to make sure we're doing justice for all of our people, all of those who are the least among us, who are housed there at this time.
One more time, your name and spelling.
Lauren Werber, Werber. You need the first name? Lauren, Lauren. And I'm the rabbi at Temple B'nai Abraham.
Mr. Director Steady Richardson.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to say I want to give our condolences and our prayers out to the folks in Chicago and El Paso and in Dayton, and to all of their family members as well. I am behooved to understand at this particular point in time what it is that is going on in this building behind us. There are more people that's out here now that should be at the table when the decisions are being made inside this building, because it is not fair for the injustice that's taking place in this building for us to continue to have to come down here to visit our family members and our friends and find out they're either dead or in the hospital. This doesn't make sense. This is senseless, and the people that's in control of this monster that's taking place, we need to be at the table with them to figure out whether or not they need to be there much longer, or should we move them too? Thank you so much. Yes.
Hello, I'm Luana. I'm just a voice for Tamar Evans. He's been in jail for 16 years for a murder he did not commit. They brought him back down here in this Justice Center back in December. His trial date is September 23rd. He's been sitting here for all this time. He have to deal with all the nonsense in here of no clean clothes. The food is terrible. They barely even have food, really. The phone calls are just it's just too expensive. What else? I don't know. Yeah. He just...
You know, this could be very overwhelming. And there's so many people of families. See, we're thinking that the Justice Center or the lack of what they're doing is only impacting the inmates. But the trauma extends far beyond just the inmates. Even the staff who are here, who are working these conditions, are also experiencing trauma. The families of inmates and the families of staff members are also experiencing trauma. So this trauma is not just for or towards the quote unquote criminal. but our entire county is being affected by what's happening here inside this building. So this is what we're asking for. Number one, we are asking for the Attorney General to investigate the over-sentencing that takes place in Cuyahoga County. What do I mean by that? That means that when somebody comes here, they got arrested for one thing, but then they have multiple charges, and then they're told that if they don't plea, then they're gonna get the maximum. And what happens is they end up pleading to something they didn't even get arrested for in the first place. So we want the Attorney General to look into and investigate the over-sentencing that takes place in Cuyahoga County, as well as the prosecutor. The second thing is, we don't want to wait another day to address the issues of the inhumane conditions inside this building. We can't wait another day. And we're calling on the Ohio Department of Corrections that if this center does not comply, do what you will do to us. Charge them every single day that they are out of compliance. Every single day that they are out of compliance, you charge them. You do it to us. If we don't pay our ticket, there's some late fees, ain't it? Okay then, so there need to be some late fees here so that we can make sure that these conditions are being taken care of. And lastly, we must address bail reform. Everybody that's in here is not guilty. So there are people who are here and who have been here for months only because they don't have the money to pay the bail. They don't have the money to pay the bond. So what ends up happening? They're here, they're in jail, right? And the thing about the media, and I want to express this to you, and I'm so glad that you're here. This is important that you know, that when somebody from our community is arrested, their face is plastered on every newspaper and every news station. But when they are innocent, there is no recap story to say that they were innocent. So now this individual has to go on with their lives being blasted for something that they never did. So what we're asking for is that everybody has to be held accountable. Not just the Justice Center, but politicians, religious leaders, families, media. We all have to be held accountable for how we are perpetuating a cycle and a stereotype that exists in our community. So, in closing, once again, let me say it again. We are calling for the Attorney General to investigate the over-sentencing of our community. You have some people who are getting probation and others who are getting 5 years. There's a problem that exists. And guess what? To all the judges who are listening, your elections are coming up. And the people are no longer asleep. We're not going to be asleep. We are voting, and we're going to start looking at the records. Us, myself, NAACP, our religious leaders who are here, we're going to start combing through the records of the judges and see how many of you chose years when you could have just given probation, when you could have just given community service, right? We want to take a look at that. So these are the things that we are asking for. We are asking for Prosecutor O'Malley to sit down with us. We are asking for the Attorney General to come take a walk. There are people who are in upper leadership who never walked through this building, so they don't even know what's going on. They don't even understand not just the food being molded, but the conditions that's truly not rehabilitating the people. What is the Justice Center? The focus of the Justice Center should be rehabilitation. But instead, it's just recidivism. People are going to jail, and they're just becoming better criminals. They come back out, they affect our community, and go right back. So we're asking for, as a community, that if we're going to love our dogs, and we should, then we should also love human beings as well. Let's take questions, please. Thank you so much. Let's take questions.
I heard about mold, I heard about maggots, I heard about dirty clothes. Any more specifics?
Women sleeping on the floor that are pregnant. Women who are not given sanitary napkins during having their menstruation periods. That's ridiculous. That's inhumane. That's insensitive.
Along with that, you have staff. So you have one staff member looking over 96 inmates, right? So you have the trauma of the staff who are being overworked. And as a result of them being overworked, they can't properly do their jobs. So you're talking about that. You're talking about a lack of jail leadership. Right now, we're in the process. We recently had sheriff who stepped down, right? So now we're in a conversation where should we have an appointed sheriff or should we have a sheriff that is elected, right? So these are the conversations that voters must have. But the conditions in there, I've been inside the jails and I go there once a month. And to see the things that they are dealing with. You have Muslim inmates of the Islamic faith and of the Christian faith and of all faiths, to be exact, who they can't even practice their religious duties. That's their constitutional right. They're not able to get material. They're not able to get prayer rugs. They're not able to go to church. They're not able to go to the synagogue. They're not able you know, we want the people who are in here to have hope.
That's right.
We want them to have hope that they can leave here and become better human beings. But what's happening is that once someone gets arrested in our county, they're in jail for the rest of their life. Even after they do their time, they come out and they're still in jail. They can't get a job. They can't do this. They can't do that. So then you wonder why they end up returning back to this crooked system.
School to prison pipeline.
The school to prison pipeline is real. Yes, sir. More questions?
Just a clarification. When you say Attorney General, do you mean the Ohio Attorney General or the U.S. Attorney General?
Both. Yeah, that's good. You just gave me that idea. You're right. So we're talking about the Ohio Attorney General, but I've been talking with the Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, and we're also going to have federal get involved. So we're hoping, NAACP, myself, our religious leaders, we're hoping that we can handle this. And I talked to the state rep today, State Rep Upchurch, and you all can remember a gentleman by the name of Sean Levert, who also died in this facility.
That's right.
So we're pushing something called the Shines Law, and we want to get the state to adopt it. We want to get the state to look into the over-sentencing that takes place here.
Right.
We want to get the state to look at the condition of this. Now listen, as President Sidnor said, we're not saying that criminals don't deserve to be punished. Let's be clear.
Correct.
We're not saying if people who murdered and people who raped and people who stole, we're not saying that they don't deserve to be punished. We're not saying that. But what we're saying is that the system should already do that. But the problem is that the system is punishing innocent people. That's the problem. The system is punishing innocent people, and what they end up doing is they're not rehabilitating anyone. They're just putting people back into our community who have never been rehabilitated, and as a result, end up coming right back.
Councilman, you toured the facility just a few days ago, shared some pictures. Talk about specifically what you saw that on that visit just 4 or 5 days ago.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, great question. Just the trauma. I mean, I'm in there for only about 2 or 3 hours, and I'm already experiencing a level of trauma. To see people sleeping on the floor, to see inmates who are in their cells, who their toilets have been broke for weeks, and they have to wake up and go to bed smelling their own feces and their own urine, right? You're talking about trays and plates of food, of molded food. That's what they have to eat. And many of you saw the video of 2 COs beating on somebody who was restrained, right? So I'm not only sad for the man and women who are getting beat, I'm also sad for the COs who are there. Because that is a sign of trauma. They're even stressed. So as a result of it, the jail is overcrowded. It's overcrowded. There's too many people, and the lack of leadership. You can just feel in the air that leadership is not involved. And we're calling on the county exec. We're calling on Cuyahoga County Council.
That's right.
You have to come take a walk in these jails. Come take a walk. As the taxpayers who are here. If you don't, let's say you don't care about what's happening to human beings. Let's say you don't have a heart. But let's just say you care about your pocket. Listen, you and I are spending tax dollars on something that is very unsuccessful. It's a waste of money. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what's happening to the money? Where is the money going? Where is the money going? And you start to ask yourself, is this on purpose? And people of color have this idea, which has some historical context, that it seems like the system is against them. It seems like it. Now we know that there's good people who who don't feel that way. But if you remain silent, there we go. That was see what they doing?
You know what it is.
You okay?
You all right? You good?
You all right?
Just the trauma of standing out here does that, brother. I feel you. We all traumatized, you see?
Everybody want to go home. They want to go home.
Everybody want to get out of here. I understand it. So this is what we're focused on. I just want everybody to know, let me make this very crystal clear to you. Crystal clear. We are not playing. This isn't a press conference for the day, and then we leave, and then everything is, no. Elections is coming up, baby. I'm telling you right now, we want to meet with Prosecutor O'Malley. He'll be receiving an email from my office tomorrow. He'll be receiving emails from the leaders who are here about sitting down with him. We're going to be reaching out. We're going to show up to the Cuyahoga County Council meetings, and we're going to be there together as a group. And we're going to ask the question, County Council, what are you doing to address these problems? You have to address these issues. If you don't address these issues, it's a problem. It's a serious problem. I think we have the prosecutor just walked past there. Yeah. So yeah.
O'Malley.
Yeah, O'Malley,
No,
he just
that's
walked. For sure, that's him. For sure, that's county council.
It
So
sure is.
we'll hopefully we get a chance to talk to him. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to him very soon. But I want to be clear to the prosecutor and to the judges. We want you to know that this is not something that we're playing around with.
That's right.
We're letting you know that we're coming to your office. We will be at your meetings, and people will be asking questions. And if you cannot fulfill your duty as an elected official, then it's time for you to be moved.
Prison reform now.
Prison reform. So once again, let me be clear. Let me be clear one more time.
Reform now.
Here we come. We're gonna say that 1 second. I like that. That was good. We're gonna say this real quick. Number one, Attorney General, we are calling for an investigation on the over-sentencing here in Cuyahoga County. Number two, we are calling for a overhaul of the bail reform. The bail reforms. We want to see a bail reform system here in Cuyahoga County. And number three, we need immediate change of the inhumane conditions of the Cuyahoga County Jail. This is not a black issue. It's not a white issue. It's not a Christian or Muslim issue. This is a people issue. And every individual who can see this, if you see that we are angry, we should be angry.
That's right.
And if you're not angry about what's happening to your fellow human beings, then you don't have a heart. You don't have a heart. All right? Or humanity. We thank you all so much for being here.
Prison reform now.
Prison reform now. Prison reform now. Prison reform now.
I've written you a symphony with all these strings attached to me. It may be chromatic and slightly sporadic.